Welcome to another episode of Extreme Expat Stories of Thailand. Hello from Thailand. I've been watching your channel now since you started, and I keep thinking about writing to you. Today I finally decided to share my story. Maybe it will help someone else avoid my mistakes, or maybe it will just help me make sense of what happened. I'm not sure anymore. My name is Karel, and I'm 63 years old. I retired early from a logistics company in Antwerp 3 years ago. I had been to Thailand several times in the 1990s and early 2000s. Business trips that turned into mini holidays. I loved everything about it. The warmth of the people, the incredible food, the way time seemed to slow down. After my divorce back in Belgium was finally finalized and my pension kicked in, I thought, why not make the move permanent? That's when I met Citapon online. I found her profile on one of those Thai dating sites. She was 42, lived in a small village in Surin Province, and her English was quite good. In her photos, she looked beautiful, but not in that artificial way. Natural, with kind eyes and genuine smile. She told me she had a small shop selling rice and basic goods, that she owned a modest wooden house, and that she took care of her elderly mother. We chatted for months. She would send me photos of her daily life, the local temple during festivals, her mother preparing somtam in the kitchen, the rice fields behind their house turning golden in the evening light. It felt real, honest. She never asked for money, which impressed me. Most of the other women I'd been talking to online had made requests within weeks. When I finally visited her in December of 2021, everything seemed perfect. Her village was exactly as she'd described. A cluster of wooden houses on stilts, connected by dirt roads that turned to mud during the rainy season. Water buffalo wandered between the rice paddies. The local temple, Wat Siri Mongkul, was ancient and peaceful, with monks who smiled and nodded when we brought them morning alms. Citapon's house was small but comfortable. 2 bedrooms, a simple kitchen, and a front porch where her mother would sit weaving baskets in the afternoons. The old woman spoke no English, but she would smile at me and pat my head when I attempted my terrible Thai. She likes you, Citapon would translate, laughing. She says you have good heart, but you too skinny, need to eat more rice. Those first weeks were magical. I would wake up to the sound of roosters and temple bells. Citapon would already be up, preparing breakfast. Rice porridge with ginger, fresh fruit from the trees in the yard. We'd sit on the porch eating together, while her mother fed the chickens. In Belgium, everything is rushing, I told her one morning. Here, time feels different. Thai people say, "Mai ben rai," she replied. No problem, no worry. Life is too short to always be stressed. I fell in love with that philosophy, and I fell in love with her. After 3 visits over 6 months, I made the decision. I would marry Citapon and get a marriage visa to stay in Thailand permanently. She helped me understand the process. First, we need to register our marriage at the local Ampur office. The paperwork was extensive. My bachelor certificate had to be apostilled and translated, along with my passport, income verification, and medical certificates. Citapon seemed to know exactly what was needed. My friend Niran helped many Farang with visa, she explained. He know all the papers. Niran was a thin man in his 50s who spoke decent English and seemed to handle various bureaucratic services for foreigners in the province. He charged me 15,000 baht to help with the paperwork and translation, which seemed reasonable. The marriage registration itself was simple. We sat at a wooden desk in a government building that looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 1970s. A tired-looking official stamped our documents while a ceiling fan rotated slowly overhead. Citapon wore a traditional Thai dress, and I had brought a white shirt and tie for the occasion. "Now you are Thai husband," she said afterwards, squeezing my hand. "Now Thailand is your home." We had a small ceremony at the local temple a few weeks later. Maybe 30 people came, her extended family, neighbors, some local officials. The monks chanted blessings while we knelt before the Buddha statue. Later, everyone gathered at her house for a feast. Long tables were set up in the front yard, covered with dishes I'd never seen before. Larb, nam tok, sticky rice, grilled fish, spicy salads. An old man who spoke some English sat next to me. "You're very lucky," he said, gesturing towards Citapon. "She good woman, take care of family, work hard." I believed in him completely. With the marriage certificate, applying for the non-immigrant O visa based on marriage was straightforward. I had to prove I had 400,000 baht in a Thai bank account and show ongoing monthly income from my Belgian pension. Citapon helped me open the bank account, and Niran assisted with the visa application. "Now you can stay in Thailand as long as you want," Citapon said when I received the visa. "We can make a good life here together." For the first year, life felt perfect. I learned basic Thai, enough to order food and greet the neighbors. I helped Citapon with her rice shop, though mostly I just sat there and tried to chat with the customers in my broken Thai while she handled the actual business. We developed routines: morning alms at the temple, afternoon walks through the rice fields, evening meals with her mother. On weekends, we'd drive to the larger town to shop at the market or visit other relatives. I was content in a way I'd never been in Belgium. The stress of deadlines and traffic jams and gray winter days felt like a distant memory. But gradually, things began to change. It started with small things. Citapon began spending more time on her phone, typing messages in Thai. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd say just friends or family business. She started taking calls outside, walking away from the house to talk privately. "Is everything okay with the shop?" I asked one evening after she'd been particularly distracted. Yes, no problem," she replied quickly. "Just some paperwork with bank. Thai bureaucracy very complicated." Her mother seemed different too. She used to smile and wave when she saw me, but now she often avoided eye contact. I wondered if I'd somehow offended her, though I couldn't think how. By our second year of marriage, Citapon was traveling more frequently. She'd go to Bangkok for business meetings or visit relatives in other provinces. These trips became longer and more frequent. "Why can't I come with you?" I asked once. "It's boring business. Just meetings with suppliers," she said. "You stay here, take care of house. It's better." I trusted her. That was my mistake. Not just trusting her, but trusting completely, without any doubt or questions. The truth began to emerge through the most mundane circumstances. A conversation with my neighbor. Kun Somchai lived in the house next to ours. He was a rice farmer in his 60s who spoke a little English from his army days. We'd occasionally sit together on my porch in the evenings, sharing a beer and attempting conversation. One evening in March, about 18 months after our marriage, he seemed unusually serious. "Karel," he said slowly, "I want to ask you something. Maybe it's not my business." "What is it?" "Your wife, Citapon, how long you know her before marry?" I told him about our online relationship, how we'd met, the wedding. He listened quietly, nodding. "She married before," he said finally. "Foreign man, maybe 2-3 years ago. German man. He come visit sometimes, send money." My stomach drops. "What do you mean?" "I think maybe she still married to him. He believe he still her husband." Kun Somchai looked uncomfortable, as if he regretted bringing it up. "Maybe I wrong, maybe I misunderstand, but I see this man. He come here sometimes. He think he married to her." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Somchai had said, trying to dismiss it as a misunderstanding. But questions began forming in my mind. Why had Citapon been so helpful with the visa process? Why did she seem to know exactly what papers were needed? Why was her English so good for someone from a rural village? I didn't confront Citapon directly. Instead, I began paying closer attention. I noticed that on days when she said she was going to visit her sister in the next province, her motorcycle never moved from its usual spot. When she claimed to be meeting suppliers in town, I drove by the market and her usual haunts. She wasn't there. I also started observing her phone habits more carefully. She would sometimes smile while reading messages, the kind of smile I used to think was for me. Once, I saw her quickly switch screens when I walked into the room. The second revelation came through pure bad luck, or maybe it was good luck, depending on how you look at it. I was sitting alone at the house one afternoon while Citapon was supposedly visiting relatives. A motorcycle pulled up, and a man in a polo shirt got off. He was Thai, middle-aged, carrying a folder of papers. "Sawadee krap," he said politely. "I looking for Citapon Jaidi." "She's not here," I replied in Thai. "Who are you?" "I am from bank," he said, switching to English. "About loan. She need to sign papers." "Loan? What loan?" The man looked confused. "You are husband, yes? She take loan, 800,000 baht. She put your name as, how you say, guarantee person." My blood went cold. I never signed anything. He opened his folder and showed me documents. There was my name, my signature, or something that looked very much like my signature. The loan was for business expansion, dated 6 months earlier. According to the papers, I was the guarantor. "This is not my signature," I said, though even as I said it, I could see the resemblance. Someone had done a very good job forging it. "Sir, bank need payment. Loan is overdue. If no payment, we must take legal action." After he left, I sat on the porch staring at the rice fields, trying to process what had happened. 800,000 baht, roughly $30,000. Money I didn't have, for a loan I'd never authorized. When Citapon returned that evening, I showed her the bank papers. Her reaction told me everything. No surprise, no outrage, no confusion. Just a moment of panic in her eyes before she composed herself. "It's mistake," she said. "Bank make error." "No mistake," I replied. "This is my name, my passport number. Someone forged my signature." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, in a voice I'd never heard from her before, flat, businesslike, she said, "Yes, I signed for you, but it's for good reason, for our business." "What business? And why didn't you ask me?" "You would say no. Foreign men always say no to good opportunities." That's when the rest came out. Not because she wanted to confess, but because I kept asking questions and she seemed tired of maintaining the lie. There had been others. Klaus, the German that Somchai had mentioned. They'd been married for 4 years, though their marriage had never been properly registered. He sent her 40,000 baht every month and visited twice a year, believing he was her only husband. Before Klaus, there was Richard from Australia. Their marriage had been registered, but she told him she needed a divorce to marry me. She'd showed him fake divorce papers while keeping the original marriage certificate. Richard still sent money sporadically, believing they were still married but taking a break. "How many loans?" I asked. "Not many," she said, but her eyes told me it was more than she wanted to admit. Over the following weeks, I discovered the scope of it. 3 different banks, multiple personal loans, all with forged documents bearing my name. The total debt, far beyond what I cared to admit. "Why?" I asked her one evening. We were sitting on the same porch where we'd shared so many peaceful breakfasts, but now it felt like a stage set for a play that had ended. "You have money," she said simply. "European pension, savings, you can pay back." "But I trusted you," she shrugged. "Farang always have money. It's normal." I want to make something clear. I wasn't angry. I know that might sound strange, but I felt more hollow. Like I'd been sleepwalking through a dream that turned out to be someone else's calculation. I kept thinking about all the moments that had felt so genuine. Her mother patting my head, the temple ceremonies, the quiet mornings with rice porridge and roosters crowing. Had any of it been real? "Did you ever care about me at all?" I asked her once. "You are a good man," she said. "I like you, but I have family to take care of. Mother is old, need medicine. Sister has 3 children. Farang husband is business." I realized I'd been living in a completely different story than she was. I'd been experiencing a love story and a new life. She'd been managing multiple income streams. I could have tried to fight it legally, but my Thai isn't good enough and lawyers are expensive. I also wasn't sure what the outcome would be. My signatures on the documents looked convincingly real, and I had no way to prove they were forged. Instead, I worked out payment plans with the banks. My early retirement savings and monthly pension could cover it, though it meant giving up any dream of traveling or living comfortably. I'd be paying for the next 5 years. I moved out of the house into a small rental in the nearby town. Just 2 rooms above a shop, but it's clean and quiet. Citapon didn't try to stop me or ask me to stay. The business transaction had concluded. I still see her occasionally at the market. We nod politely to each other. Once, I saw her with a new foreign man, older, maybe Australian based on his accent. He looked happy and relaxed, the way I probably looked during my first months here. I wanted to warn him, but what would I say? Your wife is scamming you? He'd think I was a jealous ex-husband, and maybe he'd be right to be skeptical. I don't hate Citapon. I know I should, but I don't. I think she genuinely believed she was being reasonable. From her perspective, foreigners have money, and Thais need money. So the arrangements made sense. The fake marriages, the forged documents, the multiple husbands. These were just practical solutions to economic problems. I was naive, yes, but more than that, I was living a cultural context I didn't understand. I thought I knew Thailand because I'd visited as a tourist, because I could order pad thai and say hello in Thai. I had no idea how complex the real relationships are, how survival works in rural communities, or how some locals view foreign residents. The marriage visa process itself isn't a scam. It's a legitimate way for foreigners to stay in Thailand long term if they have genuine Thai spouses. The problem was that I didn't have a genuine spouse. I had a business partner who hadn't informed me we were business partners. I still love Thailand. That might sound crazy, but it's true. I love the morning mist over the rice fields, the sound of temple bells, the way people smile when I attempt to speak Thai. I love the food, the pace of life, the way sunrise looks different here than anywhere else I've lived. But I've learned to be more careful about who I trust and how completely I trust them. I've learned that good intentions and cultural appreciation aren't enough. You need to understand the realities of the place you're living, not just the romantic version you've imagined. I'm still here, in my small apartment above the shop. I teach English conversation to local students twice a week, which gives me a small income and keeps me connected to the community. I've made a few genuine friends, other expats who've been here longer and can help me navigate the complexities I missed before. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd been more suspicious from the beginning, if I'd asked harder questions, done background checks, been less trusting. But then I think, what kind of life is that? Always suspicious, always doubting, never allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I chose to trust completely, and it cost me $30,000 and a lot of illusions. But for 18 months, I lived in what I thought was love, in what felt like home. Maybe that's worth something too. I'm not recommending my approach, obviously, since I'm the one telling you it was a mistake. But I'm also not sure I'd do it completely differently if I had another chance. Maybe I'd be more careful with the paperwork, ask more questions about the visa process, get independent legal advice before signing anything. But the falling in love part, the trusting part, the believing that I'd found something real in a small village in Isan, I think I'd probably do that again. Maybe that makes me a fool. Maybe I'm still naive at 63 years old. But I'd rather be a fool who believes in love than a cynic who never gets fooled because he never takes chances. Thailand is still my home. I'm still learning the language, still trying to understand the culture, still grateful for every sunrise over the rice fields. I just understand now that home is more complicated than I thought, and love is more complicated than I hoped. But my Ben Rai, no problem, no worry. Life is too short to be bitter about the lessons we learn along the way. Karel in Surin Province, Thailand.